This is the place of remembrance.
I'm going to go in front so you're not recording me. Oh, is this the flowers?
Oh, yep. Yeah. See this flower right there? Half of it grows down on the beach, and the other half is up in the mountains because they were from two others who got separated. And this is where someone like a warrior on the losing side, they would come to this area and they would be protected, and it's where they would re-enter society. Mm-hmm. And this is the Royal Refuge. want a picture? Yeah. Yeah. Is that where the tree in the lava he was talking about?
I think so.
I don't know. 13.
How long is it there?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go back.
Okay, I'll be right there. Morning.
6 on a small little rock.
Have to get a post. Do you have any dollars?
I don't think so.
Huh?
I don't.
That's cool.
Under our mill, and this is kind of one of the second steps that goes is the process for coffee. Behind you, we've got our scale with some freshly picked coffee that just happened yesterday. So once we weigh it out, we actually dump it into our destoning machine behind you folks there. And then it'll process through our depulper. So right behind us, we've got our depulper. And what that'll do is just gently separate the coffee skins from the beans itself. Once we go ahead and separate the skins from the coffee, we process it and then dry it out on the drying docks. I don't. I wasn't kind of putting a snap here. But we'll walk by some trees. Let's see if I can open up one of these bags and take a look at how the workers do.
Someone's gonna hold it.
So the harvest is very labor intensive. That's the hardest thing about Dakota coffee here. Everything is hand picked. And the reason why we hand pick each coffee bean is that they do mature at their own time. So they're quite tiny. And it's a 6-month harvest, usually from June to December. Workers will continuously come through and harvest out all of the ripe berries only. If you pick the unripened ones, which are green and yellow, then you can end up with some really sour, bitter coffee in your end result. Once they ripen up, it doesn't take much pressure, and the coffee beans just come right out.
That's impressive. They're not dry.
And they're not roasted yet. So at this stage, they don't smell like coffee, they don't taste like coffee. Nothing like what you buy in the stores. And if you were to actually eat the beans, it would just kind of have like a sweetness to it. It just tastes just like sugars. And then even with the skins here, we use those. We dry them out just naturally. And then you would steep it just like a normal tea. So it's filled with antioxidants as well as natural caffeine to them. And we try to use every bit of the coffee bean.
That's wonderful.
John makes tea and beans and coffee.
Really good.
Don't worry, but you might be a tea drinker. You know, we think about everybody here. We think of the tea drinkers and the coffee drinkers.
You gotta teach me the good stuff there before you do it.
Does the tea have a name?
We call it cascara, like a cascara tea. And yeah, right now, so we're still in harvest. As we walk by the trees, you'll see them filled with different colors. Yellow, green, and that ruby red is what we need for workers to harvest out. They do get paid by the pound, so it's very crucial that they only harvest out the red ones. If we open up the bag and see a lot of green or yellow, the price can drop. So try to encourage them to only harvest the right ones. And for our farm here, we've got 25 acres with all the structures and our processing areas, and then we only have about 17 acres of coffee. So it's not a whole lot of coffee to supply the whole world. You can only get our coffee here through our store up front.
Oh.
Yeah, why don't we walk on down to the drying docks and we can see some of the coffee drying. We'll just go back this way here.
Oh, you're gonna go down that. Oh, you're gonna go around that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we see what you have in your hand? Can we see what you have in your hand?
So this is all of the coffee, straight from the tree. So once you go ahead and you remove the skin, it almost has like a beige color to them.
Got it. Thank you.
You said it tasted like sugar. Does it have the consistency?
Consistency.
Thank you. Of like a nut? Peanut? It looks like a
It does look like a peanut. It does have like a, it can, yeah, but it doesn't taste like a nut. We're just like straight sugar. The trees, they usually get up to 30 feet tall, but we try and top them off about 6 feet just to make it a little easier for workers to come and actually hand pick out.
How long is the picking season?
About 6 months.
Or did they take that long time? I mean, from getting ripe to ripe.
They flower. Once they flower throughout the 6 months, they'll start to reproduce. So we get maybe 4 harvests flowers throughout the 6 months. But as for ripening up, once it starts over in June, it's about a month or so to really ripen. And then we'll just kind of slowly ripen as the season progresses. What's the most labor intensive? Some of our trees.
You pick them? You pick the bean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very common for local residents to have coffee in their yards. So me and my coworkers, we all have like an acre or 2. We do harvest our own areas. The money's good. If you pick well.
That's good.
Like picking blueberries is the pain in the
Yeah, but so it has to be grown in Kona district to be considered Kona coffee also.
Ah.
Once you step outside of Kona, it's no longer Kona coffee. You go to Ka'u and you have Ka'u coffee. Waimea would be Waimea. Same with all the other islands. That's going to be their own specialty of coffee. And what makes Kona so great is the soil that we have here. We've got that blue volcanic rock, whereas you go about 30 minutes this way, they've got more of like a red cinder. So the flavors differ once you roast the beans.
How many people work the farm?
All year round, we have, I believe, 6 farm workers that take care of all the pruning when we're not in season, the fertilizing, and just maintaining all the grass and everything. And then for our harvest, we bring in about 9 to 12 workers to actually harvest out the coffee. Seasonal workers. This is what it looks like, and then it'll go through our mill, and then we ferment the coffee beans, and then it'll come out on our drying docks at the bottom. Check out our coffee
Yep. I'm just watching where. We're gonna go back up.
I don't know, and they might go around.
Walking down is easy.
Expected to see something bigger.
Yeah, right?
guava trees, pineapple. So after we go ahead and we run it through our depulper, we actually ferment the coffee beans in its juices with just water alone for about 8 hours. So usually overnight we ferment the coffee beans before we're able to lie it out on our drying decks here. Depending on how much sun we get is the length it'll sit out here. Usually 3 to 7 days is the length it'll take for the coffee to dry up and hit a moisture content of 0.19%. Once it dries, it creates this parchment layer around the coffee bean. You can go ahead and remove that parchment, and on the inside you get your green bean.
Oh.
So it has about 3 layers of breakdown before we can actually get to that roasting point. It's got its skin, the pulp, and then the parchment. And then from there we can run it through our grater and then be able to roast. This part can also be very tedious. Once it hits the drying docks, about every 15 to 20 minutes, workers will come up and actually rake the coffee. What the raking will do is turn them so they get that even dryness on all sides. So something simple just like that. And once we get it to a moisture content of 0.19%, we want to keep it at that level. So we'll go ahead and store it in a controlled temperature room so that it doesn't lose any more moisture. The more moisture it loses, the more sour your coffee could get. So it's kind of like that perfect creme de la creme that we want it at. Once we go ahead and new coffee for our store, we'll cool it from storage, and then we'll be able to remove the parchment and then roast. And we have our grating machine right up here. Come this way.
Yeah. Okay, take this chair.
She was talking about temperature control. Doesn't smell like coffee yet. Go in here. Oh my God. You see the white bags? It still has that parchment skin. That's all there. The ones in the has already been processed. That smells. Does it smell like coffee? Just stand here for a while.
I'll bet you there is.
Okay, let's see.
Let me go read it.
So when you check it, it has to be.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I misunderstood it. Very little water.
So is the parchment removed by hand too, or is there a machine to do it?
Machinery.
I was going to say, I would hope so. It would look like that.
It usually just shakes right off, so that big machine there will just shake off all the parchment. And on the other side, when we're walking back, you'll see all the parchment kind of dusted on there.
Got it. Got it. But up until that point, it's all manually hand-picked. Put out there.
So we take it pretty serious here in Kona. Everybody handpicked, and then in November we have a coffee competition. So everybody from the other islands can come over to Kona and compete and see what's the best coffee for that year.
See if they can beat your coffee, right?
Yes.
That's all it's all about.
And you know, it's a yearly thing. It lasts a week. It's a week-long competition. Everybody all hyped up, walking around town drinking coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, so this is our color. After drying the beans, we still, like you mentioned, get the parchment skin and also a thin membrane on the silver skin that still needs to come off. So they'll pour all those parchment beans down into the chute. It goes up through the huller. The pressure will start rubbing the beans together to loosen up all the skins. And then they'll go through an air polisher, which blows all the skins outside into a separate container. So it goes into a silo, there's no nutrients to it, so it's basically we use it for ground cover. After all the skins are off, then the grading starts, and this is also where the quality comes in from country to country, region to region. Some countries don't grade it, some countries do, so that affects the quality also in the coffee. So the first stage of grading coffee is sizing the beans. The size tells you what grade it belongs to. This machine here is a classifier. There's screens with different diameters of holes in each screen. That will start filtering out all the different grades that comes out of the Kona coffee. So this is USDA control. So when you go on the other end, you see all the different grades, but they're not in order. So if they do all sound good, so you gotta make sure you know where it belongs to. So the top screen is your biggest diameter. So anything that don't go in there is your biggest coffee bean. Which big beans are usually good. Big beans are called mother grades. They're big, but inside is hollow, so there's no substance to it. So it gets dropped down and goes into your off grades. That will be labeled Hawaiian coffee. The second screen is your second larger bean, which is our top grade, extra fancy. Second grade is fancy, number one is third grade, and these are the three grades that we use for our shop for your medium or dark roast, as an estate coffee. And then prime is the fourth grade. Prime is usually, the family has a restaurant, so we roast it here and then let them brew it at the restaurant. So, and then who heard of pea berry? No? Okay, so pea berry is the most expensive Kona coffee to get. It's the smallest bean, but it's a mutation that occurs during the growth period. So anytime the tree goes into stress, like if we get a drought, or even if a bee comes in, disturbs the pollination, it can mutate the seed inside, because the trees are self-pollinating. So when it does that, you saw the berries, there was 2 beans in it, it mutated into one complete round bean. And flavor-wise, it is smoother because it's less acidic. So a lot of the tea drinkers tend to guide more into the pea berries. You know, they'll pay the price for it. But yeah, and it does have a sweeter note to it, to the coffee also, and a little bit more heavy. So this is all the different grades. After this machine, we're gonna run it through the gravity table. That machine is gonna sort out beans as scratches, nicks, sometimes can't eyeball it, so that machine will go by the density of each coffee bean.
Oh.
Yeah. So they usually start off with the top grade first and then work their way down. So, for example, they'll bring the extra fancy, that's your top grade, and then underneath that board is the feeder. It scoops the beans up and drops it to the top of this machine. These black knobs, they're air valves. They're gonna control the air depending on the grade they're using, because you know they all have their different weights. It'll control the air that's coming up in the direction it's going. So when this is running, with your top grade first, air blows up, lifts the lighter beans. This vibrates at the same time, and all the lighter ones will start trickling down to this bottom chute, and all the good ones will be on the top. So when you look at this from this angle, you see all your nice deep olive green color on the top of this machine. The lighter ones, lighter colored brown colored, black colored means the beetle damage got to it. We've been fighting that for the past few years now. So those will all end up here, goes into the cement pile, okay? It's trash, you can't do nothing with it. So all that will here. The reason why we start off with the top grade, because anything in this middle chute is gonna run again with the next grade below. So we keep filtering out all the different grades till all the trash is gone. And then anything on the top, that's you're running extra fancy, that's the beans that you're gonna label in those 100-pound bags as extra fancy. So once they're all done, these guys get stitched up in 100-pound sacks. The state comes in with these probing sticks, takes out samples around the sack and checks it. And they check the moisture content, they check the size of the coffee bean, they check the imperfections. You're only allowed a certain amount of imperfections in each grade. If you go over by one bean, they won't label it that grade. You gotta drop it one grade lower or run it through the machine again if you wanna keep it that grade. And it costs money every time you bring these guys in.
Monitors.
But yeah. So this is all the processing so far. After this, then we roast, and we roast as we go for the shop. We don't we don't do a big bulk of roasting just because we want to keep everything fresh. Okay. Right, who wants to see the roaster?
Yeah.
Roaster over there.
That's where they grill the chickens, right? Roast.
You can look out through the window right here.
Come and roast, baby.
That's a roaster. That is the only one that we have more people than what we normally bring in. Oh, it smells
So you're
good.
fine.
Someone's getting coffee in here.
It's gonna be like sardines in your yard. The dog's keeping a count. 1, 2, 3.
Everybody hit it.
You fit?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is what we roast for our store. We usually, when you roast, you lose 20% in weight. So we do have a 25-pound batch roaster, which is fairly small. You go to the bigger companies, you have the 100-pound batch roaster. Okay, but so yeah, with 25 pounds of green beans, you only end up with like 20 pounds of coffee. You lose a lot of moisture with the weight when it's cooking. So when this is going on, the unroasted beans, the green beans, what we call it, when your roasters buy from different countries, what's important, they call it the green beans before roasting the coffee. So that's what's in here. We're gonna heat up the drums at 415 degrees. Once it reaches temperature, the beans are gonna be released with this knob into this more refined cement mixer. So this is turning. So the key to roasting is keep the beans moving. You can even do it on a frying pan. You just gotta stand there and stir it. And Auntie did one. It actually was a very awesome medium roast. But popcorn air poppers does the same thing. You can do a good medium roast also on that. Yeah. But once it's in there, what the roasters are gonna listen for is what we call cracks, and it's popping. You can actually hear it. It's roasting, tumbling in there, and then you're. And that's the first pop. Our first pop usually happens like 12 minutes into the roast. Some beans can start cracking the first crack at 3 minutes to 15 minutes. After that is crucial because after the second crack, a minute after that, we drop it for a medium roast. So the medium roast is usually like 3 minutes after the first. And what's it's doing, those pops, those cracks, is letting you know where the oils are at in the stages when it's cooking. So the first crack is melting down. Second crack is traveling to this, didn't reach the surface, but it's traveling up to the surface. And then a minute after that, it drops. It reaches the surface, which is, it's not too much, so it's still very dull looking color. It's not shiny like when you have all your oils that's the darker roast. That's when all the oils have reached to the surface. Dark roast is good if you don't over roast it. Like ours is only a minute from the medium roast. You want to be careful with those longer roasts like Italian or French roast, because once you lose all the acidity or the oils, you start it starts burning the coffee. So that's why your bitterness increases. But if you know how to roast it well and you balance it out, you end up with a less acidic, smooth cup of coffee. Okay. But you want to be able to taste the region itself, the characteristics of this certain region. So you don't want to over roast coffee also. And the lighter the roast, the more taste you have of the complexity of the region. But yeah, so after that, after the drop for the medium roast, a minute after is the dark roast. Okay, but you can only do one roast at a time. You can't like take out some and. But yeah, so when that happens, another key point to roasting is make sure your coffee gets cooled down right away, because if not, it's like pasta, it'll keep cooking. So underneath here, there's a big fan that's gonna blow all the hot air, and then also this bar is gonna rotate. But this thing is shut, so it's gonna rotate to help it cool down faster. And then after that, about 20-25 minutes, you can plug in your next roast, drop your roasted beans in a bin, and then let it cure for about 24 hours, because it does have natural gases that you release, a lot releases in that 24 hours. If you put them straight into the bag, it's gonna burst your bag open, okay? Because the gas will break it. If it goes in the stores, usually the next day when we pack it, if it goes in the stores, that you have that that hole. It's not for smelling. It's a one-way air or gas removal. So that helps. Like in the next 2 weeks, it does seep out some gases here and there, so it needs a way out. Okay, but it doesn't let any air in. Who likes flavored coffees? So after roasting, you can add oil extracts. The pores are still open, so you can add oil extracts, and it's not that much. Usually like 4 ounces in a 20-pound batch. So put in there, mix it up. We mix our own. We mix all the coconut, the mac nut, and the chocolate all in one. Okay. Wow. And then put them for our Kona Joy. But yeah, so that's how we do flavored coffees. Also, who likes decaf? It's just like, I don't want to say that. But decaf, it's a process that happens before you roast the beans. So we have our farm manager actually is half owner of Kona Decaf, and they do a CO2 process, which is natural. They don't do any of the chemicals like back in the day. They use formaldehyde, that's like embalming fluid. Yeah. And they used that back then to take out the caffeine, so a lot of chemicals. If you see Swiss water, which is better, they don't use any chemicals, but they use carbonated water, but it does strip some flavors out of the coffee. When you do CO2, it just separates the caffeine content and strips the caffeine. It doesn't strip any of your flavors. The flavors are still intact. So CO2 is not done commonly anywhere. I think there's one in Europe and a couple in the mainland. But here we have our local, like from Maui, Kauai coffee companies, they'll send their green to our guy here that does the Kona Decaf. Okay. But yeah, any questions?
Sand beach. This is where rocks are, and there's some sand over there.
stand over there.
Yeah. On the walk over there.
Oh, people way up walking.
Sure, this was not part of a group, but you know, you couldn't move on with it, right?
You want to go in? I can hold your shoes.
Yeah, that's good enough for me, man.
I want to go in.
It's Rob. I mean, it's cool to get out there and build it, you know, on the block. Build it down and put it there.
Over there.
Yeah. Yep. There's another one.
My foot.
Yeah, started sinking, yeah.
I don't think I'm going to go. I don't know. Maybe.
Hang on a second. Be careful.
Oh my God, I can't
Look
believe
at-
how big they are. Come on.
I know. Look at all of them up there.
Oh my gosh, look at him with his head's out.
Yeah.
What it is.
This is crazy. That's just it. It looks like rocks out there. Look at them all. I like this one here trying to get up a little bit. Maybe.
Isn't it?
Coming up down there. Out of the water. See, we can see him swimming. I think he's kind of good. He's way out. Better got out the water. Okay, that's it. Those ones down there didn't wash back in there. They look like rocks from here.
Where? Oh,
See
yeah.
those two
Oh,
there?
yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, I never thought they'd be that big. There's
Yeah.
babies
Yeah.
living down there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.